I'm sharing a reading experience. I took down notes from Famine, Affluence, and Morality by Peter Singer, written in 1972, and I'm sharing it with you now. I hope you listen and receive something worthwhile from this. Remember, these are notes, and some are not even the words or thoughts of the author. These notes are what I gleaned or thought about while reading. These notes are what caught my interest because the ideas expanded my knowledge or made me think, reflect, or ponder in some way. This video might inspire you to read what I did. It's my hope that you'll search from the best sources to gain information and ideas to help you to become a better person. The more you read, the better you'll think. And the better you think, the more you'll be able to face life's challenges successfully. The government values things like supersonic transport more than it values the lives of refugees. This cannot be justified. Our moral conceptual scheme needs to be altered. I begin with the assumption that suffering and death from lack of food, shelter, and medical care are bad. If it is within our power to prevent something bad from happening without thereby sacrificing anything of comparable moral importance, we ought morally to do it. Prevent what is bad and promote what is good. If I'm walking past a shallow pond and see a child drowning in it, I ought to wade in and pull the child out. The death of the child would presumably be a very bad thing, only because of the grief that it would cause from that situation. The child could grow up to commit genocide. His death would prevent this atrocity, making his death a good thing in the long run. But because we cannot tell what the distant future will bring, we have to base Peter Singer's judgment on the short term consequences only. It makes no moral difference whether the person I can help is a neighbor's child 10 yards from me or a Bengali whose name I shall never know 10,000 miles away. Should I be less obligated to pull the child out of the pond if I see other people who notice the child but do nothing? Major evils, poverty, overpopulation, pollution, are problems in which everyone is almost equally involved. The idea that overpopulation is a major evil is a hypocritical and contradictory example, as the proposed solution requires the individuals who put the least strain on resources to give up their lives first so that those who overtax resources the most can continue to do so. You can't claim to be an advocate for the ones with no voice and power by proposing that you kill off those with no voice and power. If it is within our power to prevent something very bad from happening without thereby sacrificing anything else morally significant, we ought morally to do it. The charitable man may be praised, but the man who is not charitable is not condemned. People are not ashamed of spending money on new clothes or a new car instead of giving it to famine relief. Indeed, the alternate does not occur to them. This way of looking at the matter cannot be justified. When we buy new clothes, not to keep ourselves warm, but to look well dressed, we are not providing any important need. Are we throwing away older clothes in the trash? Bad. Storing or hoarding them? Bad. Or giving them to charity? Good. The same decisions occur with any item, such as a car. We would not be sacrificing anything significant if we were to continue to wear our old clothes and give the money to famine relief. By doing so, we would be preventing another person from starving. We should give away enough to famine relief so famine relief will be slowing down until it disappears. Giving only feeds people for a day. Giving is a start, but it is not enough. The poor have poor ways. They don't often know of any other way. They must be taught out of poverty rather than introduced into a negative begging cycle. Giving until we reach the level of marginal utility will only take away our ability to give when giving is truly needed. It follows from what I have said earlier that we ought to give money away rather than spend it on clothes which we do not need to keep us warm. We ought to give the money away, and it is wrong not to do so. Most people reserve their moral condemnation for those who violate some moral norm, such as the moral norm against taking another person's property. They do not condemn those who indulge in luxury instead of giving to famine relief. The moral point of view requires us to look beyond our own interest. Where should we draw the line between conduct that is required and conduct that is good, although not required, as to get the best possible results? No person should have more than enough, while others have less than they need. People are influenced by what others around them are doing. We ought to be preventing as much suffering as we can without sacrificing something else of comparable importance. Since most people are self interested to some degree, very few of us are likely to do everything that we ought to do. Whatever a person has in superabundance, they owe to the poor, part of their subsistence. Ambrosius said in the Decretum Gratiati, "The bread which you withhold belongs to the hungry, the clothing you shut away to the naked, and the money you bury in the earth is the redemption and freedom of the penniless." Unquote. The consumer society has a distorting effect on the goals and purposes of its members. If we give away, say, 40% of our gross national product, we would slow down the economy so much that in absolute terms we would be giving away less than if we gave 25% of the much larger gross national product that we would have if we limited our contribution to a smaller percentage. Everyone who has more money than they need to support themselves should give of their excess. We can find compensation in the satisfaction of helping others. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, Godspeed.